Go for it. I'm ready. Yep.
Are we live for
All right, I'll call order the Plan
so.
Commission meeting at the Town of Lisbon Town Hall on Thursday, December 12, 2019, 6:31 p.m. Roll call, please, Jane.
Okay, Joe Osterman.
Here.
Becky Flochecker. Here. Ed Nelson.
Present.
Mark Meyer.
Here.
Jane Staver. Present. Brian Olfen.
Here.
Chad Szymanski.
Here.
Dan Lindstrom.
Here.
Gina.
And Gina.
Hello.
Okay.
Item 2 is comments from citizens present. Does anyone wish to speak tonight? Item 3 is discussion and necessary action on November 14th, 2019 Plan Commission public hearing and meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Mark to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
By Ed. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Item 4, unfinished business. We have none. Item 5, new business. A, discussion and necessary action on the request from Bryan Design Group and Bryan Building Corp. on behalf of Whitehall Colors Corporation for property located on the western portion of North 63 West 22039 County Road, LSPT 0241.999 for a site plan of operation to construct a commercial building on the industrial portion of the leased property.
Let's go on. Keep going.
Yep. Rich, sorry for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before you tonight, Rachel, we're going to get this up here. I'm going to have Rachel, who's a planner in our office, and I'm going to touch a little bit more later tonight. You're going to get a little bit more information from her. But we're going to go through the application here and kind of some things that we identified, and just kind of walk through our review and kind of keep
There it goes.
Short and brief. But we do kind of have things broken down in case you do have any questions. So, in front of you tonight is the application for a site plan of operation to construct a commercial building on an industrial portion of the leased property. We call it commercial building, but just in general we call it an industrial type commercial building in this time. The items that we reviewed were going to be kind of the town site plan of operation application, the civil engineering plans, which included not only the architectural renderings, the site plan, grading plan, utilities, as well as landscape pieces. Also, the architectural building plans were submitted, and the site lighting plans were also submitted. But the important point to note about this one is this is different from your normal application that you see because it does include the applicable design standards that are part of the zoning code and addendum. So the applicant did meet with town staff and worked through a kind of long meeting with us to make sure that they understood those design standards and those standards that can be a little bit confusing. So they spent the time to meet with town staff and kind of go through them kind of at a holistic level. So with that, I'll kind of have Rachel kind of go through some of the site reviews, and we'll kind of go through kind of the overview level, but we'll touch on kind of some last minute tweaks or anything else like that that we need to talk about, and that's going to be about it.
So just highlights on the site itself. The property is owned by the town, so that makes another unique feature of this site plan. It's located on County Highway F on the southwest corner of the County F at a new site that's being created by CSN. Currently being prepared by the town engineer. There's some adjacent land uses really similar to the site. You have commercial to the north across the road. South is vacant but zoned for industrial. Same with lands to the east. And to the west, also industrial, but in the village of subject. Existing and proposed zoning then include general industrial, so no change proposed to the zoning. And future land use has the land plan for industrial use. In some areas, little as other open lands to be preserved that we can relate to some site conditions that can be addressed there, but including the soils. Operation details that they submitted include a 40,000 square foot facility. The single story with potential for a 20,000 square foot expansion. If that expansion were to happen, it would be a total of 60,000 square feet. And the proposed 94 parking stalls, including some accessible stalls, about 4 on the site plan, as well as loading and access drives for large trucks. There's a good number of loading areas in the back of the building. The site plan also includes outdoor storage for 5 13,000 gallon tanks. These will be located south of the building, and a possible detached storage shed that's noted in the plan of operations, but not depicted on the site plan at this time. The plan also contains planned sanitary sewer and municipal water connections. That's just a note that is shown on the plan. And they propose monument sign locations, and the renderings submitted include some conceptual designs, but they're not submitting a formal sign permit application at this time. They anticipate about 34 full-time employees on site. Operations Monday through Friday, 6 to 6. The plan of operation notes potential for some occasional noise and odors beyond the walls of the building. It seems compatible with the type of use that's proposed here, so not surprising. We also note that the removal of distribution of soil on site should be worked out between the town and the applicant. Separate from this application, but we just wanted to make a note of it here. We've assumed that the pile of soil on site will be managed according to applicable grading standards and disposal regulations. And here we just wanted to include on the slides the building renderings that they provided. They have included some images of buildings, both with and without landscaping, so you get an idea of what that would look like when the landscaping is mature. The use is consistent with the town comp plan, including the future land use map. And we note that soil testing should be done to confirm that the soils are buildable, just to address that in the open areas that are mapped there. And it seems compatible. There's a commercial area shown in red on that map, which is what where the addendum F design standards would normally apply, but as Dan noted, the town is applying them here on this western end of the lease property, and the applicant has agreed to comply with those design standards, which reflected in the map showing that area. And these design standards are applicable. And this is the JCC. Some remaining items that should be incorporated to finalize the site plan submittal would be a stakeout survey or private survey showing property dimensions. So there's some property dimensions on the site plan, but as those are finalized, we would expect that to be reflected on a final site plan. That's, like I mentioned, currently being prepared by CSM, so that can be included when it's done. Landscape plan sheet could use a couple more things, including labeling of surfaces for parking and loading areas, and a timetable for completion. Those are locations that can be added for ordinance. Site plans also should show location, or maybe we just need confirmation of where trash and recycling would be stored. Currently, we're assuming that would be contained indoors. It's not depicted outdoors on the site plan. But if that's incorrect, that should be clarified. If they're outdoors, they need to be fully screened for ordinance. And future expansion area, if they want to do that 20,000 square foot expansion, that would require a new submittal for a site plan and plan of operation. But the council approved that. We did not mention this in the memo, but we wanted to add that I think some more details should be provided for the tank farm proposed south of the building. This is part of the enclosure. A little bit more information on that would be helpful. And here you can see some of the renderings of the building. So we've got in our opinion, a nice looking building with concrete cladding, some design elements there. You can see the entryway on the corner. Again, the renderings with the landscaping. And there's berming proposed around the perimeter of the site. The colored site plan more showing where the grass areas would be in relation to the building and parking. And then for zoning review, just touch on the highlights here. Parking requirements. Currently, the ordinance would require 600 parking stalls for the 40,000 square foot facility. Obviously, that
Whack. Looks like the uses, but it's our code.
right.
So the
So,
Plan Commission's going to have to comment on that.
yep. So we made note of that now. They proposed 94 stalls. In our opinion, seems adequate based on the proposed number of employees, and it provides more than adequate loading spaces for ordinance standards. And here you can see the grading plan. This depicts the berms that are proposed around the site. That would go with the landscaping. This includes the parking plan. Parking located mostly along the north side of the building, a little bit of parking on the east side, but in the street there where the access drive would come in from that new road to the east. Also part of the zoning review, so I mentioned the landscaping berms. Technically they would be higher than what the zoning allows without triggering the requirement for a public hearing and for Plan Commission approval. It looks like they would maybe a 5-foot So we had to make note of that and ask the Plan Commission to discuss that and confirm either, if those are acceptable, if the public hearing would be required there. And stormwater would drain off site. That's what we're assuming and what it looks like based on the utility plan. So we make note of that here, and that would be directed to a regional facility that's being designed by the town engineer. Again, that's all shown on the grading plan. There's stormwater is generally collected in the parking area and loading in the rear of the building and to the north. It's directed eastward and down to the southeast of the site. And we have comments on vision corners. The site would just be expected to comply with those. Just think that maybe we need to verify that if you raise a concern about it. The storage shed, as I noted earlier, should be indicated on the plan if it's proposed outside. And there's some provisions here in the code where the shed has a wall, side or rear wall longer than 50 feet. It's subject to some additional offset requirements for the ordinance. They have plenty of space to work with, so we don't anticipate that being a problem. And offset labels on the site plan, they indicate 10 feet in places. The design standards would require 5 feet in the side here.
The west side of the property has a offset that's labeled as 10 feet, but it says labeled as 4. It's just an area. It's a pretty simple one. So.
And the rear with the required 10 feet offset, that's fine. Lighting appears to comply with the ordinance, certainly with the maximum lighting allowed at the edges of the property. One thing we would note, I think it's on-site, on-building lighting proposed at about 24 feet in height. We wanted to ask the Plan Commission to just confirm whether that's acceptable or if you would want them to lower it to 18 feet. Typically, maximum pole height is 18 feet, so that's why we commented on that. And then here you can see the site plan. Parking details, included the lighting plan here. Any concerns with that? Monument sign location seems to comply with a minimum 20-foot base setback line requirement, so location does not seem to be an issue. The details would have to be handled at a later date with sign permit. We think the site plan should show no storage areas to confirm that it can be safely removed from paved areas without damaging landscaping. So if there's any changes needed there, that could be done.
The reason why there's a lot of landscaping that's required of those design standards is we just want to make sure that that's being protected.
A note also in the landscaping plan should clarify what the plan would be for ongoing maintenance. That could be a simple note on the plan, not too in-depth to be needed there.
Replacement should show you typically within X more seasons or something that's the damage. That's typically how the town has handled it in the past. Understood.
As far as landscaping buffering standards, we felt the proposed landscaping
And
meets the ordinance. So that we can go into detail on that here. Sidewalks, we had a few comments on sidewalks around the building. Just wanted to verify that they're 5 feet in width. I think it's just a matter of labeling or confirming that, exclusive of the landscaping, so that they have adequate width there. We're recommending that the sidewalk would extend along the north side of the building, at least to the first landscape street island. I'll show a slide in a moment to clarify where that is. Just to better connect the parking area to the building entrance, provide more of a safe pedestrian route. The Plan Commission can require at its discretion a 6-foot wide pedestrian way along County Highway F, so abutting that highway along the site, or reservation for future walkway easement there. So that's something for the Plan Commission to weigh in on. And then we noted that where the building sidewalks are flush with the asphalt, that's up on the north side of the building in that northeast corner. So there's some accessible stalls there right near the entryway. That sidewalk there is flush with the parking area, which makes sense, but we'd recommend either some kind of bollard or stops so that those don't encroach into the sidewalk area. Something like that would be a concern. And here you can see the landscaping, very generous all around the site. I think that would be certainly a nice look for this location. As far as parking, there's another provision in the code that would prohibit commercial parking in the street yard lot. technically applies here. However, it seems to be more of a standard that applies to retail business as a default district. So I wanted to get confirmation on that. Building facades, again, we think the building looks nice. There are some things that, because of the design standards, we just suggested some ways that it could be tweaked. But there are, different ways that it could be. It's not a requirement, but just suggestion. The entryway is at the corner, very prominent. It has some variety of materials and colors. And I think that is generally of high quality. So here you can see the renderings again. The lighting plan. And then we recommend bicycle parking for about 4 to 8 bicycles to be provided near the front entryway, just to provide that option as well. That's part of the design standards. And the town engineer would require review the site plan. We're wondering if the driveway apron materials will be satisfactory to the engineer. It looks like it was proposed with asphalt.
We want to make sure whatever the town road being planned for surface material is consistent to that one, so we're protecting the curb, especially if we're going to have heavy truck traffic kind of going in and out of that site.
Similarly, the curbing proposed, we want to just make sure that that is satisfactory to the town engineer based on where it's proposed, because it's not proposed around every, corner of the driveway. We have recommending approval with conditions of approval.
Yeah, so we can stop here if you want to ask questions. We can talk on and touch on those conditions and walk through those. But from an overall standpoint, that's the overall our review. That way, if you have any questions for us or for the applicant, we can kind of go through those questions.
Questions from the board? How do you pronounce the name of the corporation? It's Wyckoff. Realistic. For the planners, thank you. Very thorough. And I don't think we missed very much. Comments on parking, the road height. Will the tanks be, I assume they're going to hold ink or materials such as that? 13,000. Correct. Solvent-based materials. Will they be, they seem for the plans to be buried to the south side of the building, or are they sitting right next to the building?
They're above ground tanks.
Okay.
They will be with spill containment built around it if there ever was a situation for that. The tanks will be visible.
Okay. And obviously the material contained within those would be pumped into the building, I would assume. Correct. Okay. There, as the commission knows, I'm all about color. And I looked at this building and I like it. So typical with obviously your pre-construction, your cement wall type connectors, but the way it's broken up on the plan is excellent. So we're not just looking at a wall as we do in too many of our industrial parks in the Midwest. There was a comment on the canopy to perhaps bring the canopy off the main structure somewhat. I believe that was in the planning comments. Because right now it doesn't look like it's coming off the structure very much. Maybe
It's hard to tell in some of the building plans. There's a couple of feet. It's primarily to meet with the design standards that goes in representation at the entrance point. So a little hard to tell in this one, and so we're just not quite sure where that's at.
Yeah. For industrial buildings, it didn't seem, it's not always practical to require walls to bump out, things like that. So
Sure. I figured if there's any place for articulation, it would be at that entrance point, because industrial buildings aren't typically highly utilized when there are articulations in and out. So.
well, if the suggestion would be that the canopy could come off a little further off the main structure, if that would be feasible or practical, I can see that at least arrive, in heavy rain or snow events. I would certainly, as a member of this commission, I would certainly ice the issue of parking. Obviously, in the staff, we're not talking about a major production facility. I assume it's highly automated inside the plant. Correct?
No, we have representatives from Wyckoff here tonight. If I'm not calling through, but it's manually mixed. It's not overly highly automated. It's just not okay after
We were talking about, I believe, 38 full-time employees for this phase of the permit plan. Okay. So obviously, you have 90 parking places. That's more than adequate. The difference on the berms between 3 and 5 feet, I don't see a problem with that.
Which is a matter of whether or not we have to have a public hearing. I don't want to leave that.
We will have a CSM that will have to come back here, so we can condition, if you do elect to move forward with approval tonight, you could add a condition that is subject to a berm approval, berm height approval, at that same time which the CSM will have to come back for so they can continue to move forward, but we have to come back for the CSM to get recorded anyway, so you could have that meeting at that same time. We didn't have enough time for the application review to now schedule a public hearing, so we weren't able to do a public hearing. Anything that would exceed over that 5 feet. So what they could do is they could move it down to 3 feet and not move forward with that.
So I'm going to speak, this might be out of line. I don't know why it's that tall. You might be able to just reduce it. There might have been an oversight in what the requirement was. So if that is the case, I don't see any issue in reducing that. So we're going to have in a public hearing. If it's something that we discussed, we want to make a decision on this sort of the situation.
It's only one slide.
And that's southeast corner.
Yeah, it wasn't the whole thing right there.
Yeah.
And the 3 or 5 feet for the road.
It is buffering those tanks a little bit more, so part of our discussion, now that we've heard what those tanks are, those tanks will probably have to be screened in accordance with what the building looks like as well, so it matches those. And that could be a combination of dropping berm down to 3 feet with additional screens on those tanks if possible.
Will the tanks be secure, sir, from the standpoint that no one can tamper with them? 13,000 gallons is a lot of ink. The chances of that happening are
This
zero to
is a professional.
So Whitehouse is a worldwide organization. We've done this in how many locations? We have over 30 manufacturing locations. So from a standpoint of professionalism and quality control, every outlet sees it across the nice about it.
And just to say, we've been working through this. We own that property.
Right.
We've been really working through a lot of these details and everything. It's been very good discussions and very professional.
Well, it's nice to have a visitor from South Carolina in our backyard. The overall, Mr. Chairman, as you just pointed out, I'm sure a lot of work is already going into this. You can tell in the detail of the plan for us and in the planners. One last question. There is a lot of dirt on the property, a small little hill.
That's not us.
That's our
That's not the town.
that's our responsibility. Okay, and we're covered. We've got it. Hope so. Okay.
Do we know exactly where it's all going? No, but we know it's going.
Yes. Okay, because it's obviously right where the plant is.
Yeah, it will be moved. It will either be used on the site somewhere, some of it, some of it's trucked away, but it will be. Well, Lisbon will not be there.
Yeah, it's the highest point. Yeah. No further questions.
What were you referring to as far as extending that sidewalk up the front of the building? The parking stalls, that's kind of what I would like to see.
Yeah, so right now, we didn't have a verification of this depth of this sidewalk that runs the use of this landscaping here. Like I said, pretty much kind of extend that sidewalk, this green island here, so this is where we anticipate most of the employee parking to be most of like in that case. And just to make sure that they have a safe walkway, because the first sidewalk doesn't start here. So, or I'm not sure it's hard to tell what that is. So we can just get that sidewalk to start there, provide a safe walkway and meet the requirements of the code.
Right.
verify that extends across the other parking in the front of the building.
Yeah, so right now it looks like it's out here too, so we just want to make sure that those pedestrians, especially in winter, have that safe walk.
My main concern, I believe, would be the east side of the building. Kind of a narrower lot. Maybe a safety issue for people getting out and walking behind their cars instead of being able to just get right onto the sidewalk and for the main entrance there.
We would suggest there might be an additional spur from somewhere in the vicinity of the entryway of the building connecting out to that driveway.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where the emergency exits are going to be on the building. There's no doors labeled as what I'm looking at. So that's something you want to keep in mind as well if you have some sidewalk areas where the emergency exit doors are located.
Both are acceptable. Yeah, I mean, we'll have the emergency doors in the right locations. We'll still do a couple things to the interior to determine that, but that'll need patrols and above standards. And then in regards to extending the sidewalk, that's one of the reasons.
Where is this exterior building?
The additional storage shed that was listed in the plan.
Oh, it hasn't, probably to the south of, let's see if I stand up. Coming in, right over in this area, closer to the service tank location.
And now is the addition going to happen to the south?
The proposed addition is where you see this green space now.
Yep.
You can see the outline.
Okay,
That's the proposed addition.
fair enough.
So if you're looking at the proposed addition coming out that way.
Okay.
So the proposed.
So in turn, that detached building would end up behind that addition.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Everything else I'm okay with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How close are the tanks to the school? The school is to the south. I mean, if you got an explosion relief wall on your building, really, how close to the school are you?
Not in the distance. I don't know if that's.
It's been a point of discussion as far as making sure that that's why this was second where it was as far away as possible.
There would be a whole other site south of it between the site and the school.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to show, but there's a whole other building pad that's going to be south of this one, so there's going to be another behind it. The applicant did in that meeting also meet with the fire department. We did their review, provided the information, and did their review as well. And they were happy with the situation. That was the fourth thing. Knowing the applicant has done this in many different locations, they kind of replicated that model. The fire was pleased with that result.
You do have to work out some of the terms on the site as far as the storage pond and getting the water there, where it's coming down or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, so that'd be part of it, contingent upon that. But we're going to get that worked out.
I have one more thing, sorry. For the record, I'm okay with the parking stall number being 96, 34, 39.
What do you want as far as from the school?
No, I guess I'm just, as long as we consider, like, if something unexpected happens there or not, right on top of it. And we have adequate fees to if they've looked at it, I'm sure they're okay with that.
Over and over and over again, actually. I know. Okay.
Well, I agree with Ed, Chad, and Mark. We've covered most of the things. I agree on the parking stalls being limited down. That's fine and dandy with me. The berm height, we've discussed that. And also, let's see what's next up here. The lighting. Okay, the lighting. Maximum, why is this 18, why is it 24 feet versus out of what is 18? Is it on a pole, or is it fastened on the building, or?
They're on the poles with downlights coming off of that. It was just design standard that our lighting designer put in place.
The design standards are a little vague, they're not fully defined, so it just says 18 feet. Because, and typically that means 18 feet on the whole building sign, or building lighting tends to be its own standard, but there wasn't one here, so it could be interpreted in two different ways, and so we left that up to the Plan Commission to make that determination.
It comes down to be careful with 24 foot or not.
The poles are proposed below the 18-foot limit. Those are compliant, but on-building lighting would be proposed at a higher height. So we didn't know if that.
And that's an aesthetic appeal to when it's a good looking building, and you know the lighting on the building highlights the building itself when you're driving by at night. It's not creating.
It's all downlight.
It's all
I
downlight.
understand. Yeah.
We wanted the Plan Commission to
Yeah. And the sidewalks, I agree with extending the sidewalks, et cetera. And I'm trying to think of there's one more, about the parking. If there's a question on the parking. No, I guess not. But otherwise,
Street parking.
yeah, street parking. Otherwise, it looks good to me as long as the fire department has been involved as far as because there are it says it's a storage, and that's something that if the fire department's okay with, then I have no problem with it.
I'm okay with parking stalls. I like that sidewalk will be extended. My main concern was how close we are to the high school, but because we also have a home there too, don't we?
That's on the east side,
Oh, okay.
just in the northwest corner.
Oh, okay.
That map that you're looking at also, keep in mind that the site is only a fraction of what's hatched in there. It's not that whole
Oh,
site.
this is the whole.
That's the whole design
That's
standard
all
area.
of
It's
it.
just a fraction of that
Okay,
site.
okay,
So it's not that
I
whole.
gotcha. Yeah, I don't have any problems or any more questions. They've all been answered. So.
Right?
Well, I don't have a problem with if the berm, if you want to lower it, it's fine. But if you did want to leave it higher, I would have no problem with that. But we may be locked in there, but that's another thing. Lighting, I'm fine with on the building. Parking spots, I'm okay with reducing them. And as long as the fire department gave their blessing, I'm good with that too.
We've had a lot of discussions back and forth. The building is built very impressive. I like the look. Comments we all had even later. Good comments. Had no issue with the lighting also. Parking. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. The high school would love to rent some of those shelters.
No.
So,
Any other question? Where
right? They're looking.
so just to clarify too, the question for the Plan Commission sounded like the front yard parking provision was fine as far as location of the stalls. There's also the sidewalk along County F discretionary.
There's not a walkway there now, but if we're not comfortable, if we're comfortable not putting it there now, it's up to your discretion to require it or not.
Is that required under the design standards? Sidewalks.
As far as on the road frontage?
On F.
Yeah.
You could require an easement during the CSM process.
I'd like to require an easement, but not require it. That's
That's the point. Correct.
Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys be okay with that?
So to clarify, if a sidewalk was to ever be extended to it, or if you guys wanted to work through it, whose responsibility and cost would be to put that sidewalk in?
Good question.
I'm not making that up now. But I don't see any issue with you guys building a sidewalk on the road lawn.
Just alongside of the building.
No, just
along the right away.
Just in case. Knowing the fact that road will eventually be reconstructed during this process or another process, we just wanted to make sure that this would be the applicable time to require that restoration.
Just with the schools and everything being close there's a pretty good chance we'll possibly someday run a sidewalk. And I just want that option.
I mean,
Yeah, I would think so as well. I mean, you don't have ultimate power here, unfortunately. But yeah, I would think it would be fine.
just for clarification, to the west of that site, in the village of Sussex, are there any sidewalks either in the industrial park or on the north side of the road?
On the north side of the road is a sidewalk that starts by
By that mini mall? No.
with upwards.
There's sidewalks on the north side of the road, and can't they extend on the north side of the road?
That could be, it's just keeping an option if you
Right.
go on that side.
Because the railroad and everything comes on the north side, so we may want to cross the road to the south side to enter the access to the school, essentially.
Essentially, that railroad being there, that's where you run into problems.
Exactly.
Anybody in this country that's called it.
Yeah, it may never happen, but just if it's going to happen, let's plan for the future. I agree.
What else got to go?
We can go through our recommended conditions if that's pretty much a summarizing of everything we talked about. So we can, I'll kind of just run through them here quickly. Some of them are going to be our standard conditions, and so they're just going to continue to go along with all of our site plans of operation. Applicant shall comply with all site plans of operation, including any previously approved items, and that would include some CSMs or anything else that would come along with that. Town of Lisbon retains the right to annually review the business operation for compliance, just in case something comes up. Review and approval of the CSM is in substantial conformity with the boundaries described herein. The reason why we put this one in here is we don't want the site plan to kind of force the CSM to a situation which doesn't need to be, or if the CSM boundary line has to be moved a couple of feet, we don't want it to come all the way back here for a couple of feet. So as long as it's in substantial compliance with what we're seeing here tonight, the site plan should be okay. But the CSM still does need to come forward through its own review process. I'm talking about the town engineer tonight. Also, if we can incorporate any potential other utility easements or anything else that need to be involved in that one at a time, let's get them on that CSM now so we're not doing it later. So, fire chief shall inspect the premise to ensure the site is in compliance with respective codes and non-objection from them prior to the occupancy permit. Building inspector, again, same situation. Review and compliance with any deficiencies prior to occupancy. Town engineer site plan review, just make sure that you're addressing any town engineers prior to actual issuance of the site plan of operation. That's a slightly different tweak there. No outdoor storage materials unless otherwise noted, and so we do have these tanks here now. We're probably going to have to work on some screening situations here, so it sounds like the Plan Commission would like to make sure, and we need to make sure we're complying with those ordinance requirements, so that additional building needs to be shown on the site plan as well as the screening. So making sure that those are in compliance with the actual design of the existing building. No trash or recycling outdoors unless it's shown on the plan. So if there is going to be trash or recycling outside the building, make sure that it's included on the site plan revision. We've addressed the parking stall counts here with the town board, such board of appeals, so we can get rid of number 9 in my packet, so you can strike that one there if you'd like. Number 10, again, show it on the site plan, which is show that storage shed, all accessory buildings shall be constructed in the same design, so again, just compliance with that one. Modify the plan to kind of show those 10-foot minimums and make sure that the measurements are actually correctly what they're showing. Show the storage areas, just again, a label on the landscape plan. Provide the ongoing maintenance, talking about the mowing maintenance and replacement maintenance, just a small note on the landscape plan. Final site plan shall include the sidewalk corrections that we talked about here today. So again, extending that sidewalk, making sure they're 5 feet. Adding the bicycle parking, so you do have that on site as well. If soil testing are to be done, provide them to the town in conformance with those soils are buildable. So you saw on the future land use map to show that some areas with other open lands to be preserved. Those are typically things that have been on the site plan or in the comprehensive plan as a result of just a soil that came up on a soil map. And so as long as you provided your soils that show that they are buildable, that would suffice for that review. Waukesha County Environmental Health may review and approve the use and subject prior to any issuance of any permits, and so in case they have to get involved. Any business signage shall be required to come back to this body. That can happen at a later date, but right now we've seen some conceptual pieces, but the final actual signage application will have to come back. Up-to-date site plan of operation shall be on file with the town at all times. We also recommend that it's also on file with the applicant, so in case somebody ever has to review it there. And then the last three are kind of our standard ones, which is the approval is granted to our conditions stated herein. And again, the town reserves the right to impose any additional conditions should they have to come and review the site again. So those are kind of our standard conditions. Last one on there, county approval subject to any final stormwater management agreement. I'm also going to kind of provide that to kind of say approval to town engineer comments as well.
Questions or comments from anyone?
What are you actually going to make
We're a printing ink and coating manufacturing company. So Wisconsin is rich with flexible packaging printers through this area and then going north up into the valley. So we're here because there's a very large market for our products.
Obviously, sir, just to the west of this location, Quad Graphics, which is a big presence in Wisconsin. We also
We know Quad, and but they actually manufacture their own inks. So we do some business with them, but it's very limited. And they're primarily in a different market segment than this flexible packaging market. You might think for us. So yes, we know. Yes, we not know.
okay. Thank you.
Is the external shed for materials or landscape upkeep items?
For additional materials used in the
Materials?
processing, yes.
What size is that building going to be?
That's still being worked through on the inside. It would be, no, it would be traditional. Shed side, I mean, well, 20.
There's a garden shed and there's a pole barn shed that can be.
I wish I knew this, because we just started going through it now. 25 or 30-ish, would probably be about the size of what that would be, approximate.
I'm just asking, is there any reason that material, when you got a 40,000 square foot, you're adding on 20,000, is there a reason for an exterior building?
It changes some of the uses on the inside of it. It's a volatile material that, for employee safety, you keep out. It's not like it's going to be volatile problems for people outside of the space, but that's the reason behind the outside of it.
But the shed is mainly going to be for landscaping or
Storing that material.
okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Just one, I noticed in the plan there that noise might be able to be heard a few feet outside the building. What about orders from this process?
I don't know the gentleman from White House said, but the orders are very minimal in the process. You've gone through this a lot. You guys want to comment kind of on that?
Yeah, I mean, all of that is really controlled internally as far as orders concerned. I mean, this is a solvent-based product, and so it still does have some orders to it. I mean, obviously, we're not able to take all of those orders, but it's not going to be matched just for dangerous.
Any complaints anywhere else where you make this stuff about orders?
No. Maybe some other product lines, but not related to the solvent flexible packaging.
As far as a lot of the chemical incinerators that in this building to burn all that stuff off and it goes out. I think that's what I see on the plan.
I believe there is an incinerator, yes.
Yep. Okay. Anything else?
The one last comment that I want to make sure that is included is here. We reviewed this based off the assumption that this would be M2 zoning, and so it's Washington County still working through that zoning change right now, and so this would be subject to the zoning district as approved by Washington County.
Yeah, does anyone ready to make a motion on this item?
I would, Mr. Chairman, but what is the correct pronunciation of the Brian Bush group? Is it Brian?
Brian.
Brian. Pronounce correct.
Brian, it's, Brian and John combine their names together, and that's how we spell it. Not as fancy as Brian or we build industrial buildings.
I mean, they're coming, yeah, they're coming out of South Carolina, and I was thinking, is this international?
No, we're based in Brooklyn. We built our packaging
Okay.
across the way, and we're that's
No, I do not profess to know that much about King. I would move a request from Brian Design Group and Brian Building Corp. on behalf of Wyckoff Color Corporation for the property located on the western portion of North 63 West 2039 County Road F, with an LSCT of 0241.999 for a site plan/plan of operation to construct a commercial building on the industrial portion of the leased property be approved as per recommended with addendum to and attention to town planner's recommendations and comments. Should I mention striking number 9? That you already mentioned. And is necessary to go to the berms, sidewalks, at all.
I think you could probably put in your motion that it is subject to the burning standards, and had they not, had they had to maintain those types of burning standards, then they would come back at that point. So you can just say subject to the town burning standards.
Got that, Gina?
Yep.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Please do not forget. Subject to offshore county.
Second. You also going to address the
Second and that.
the fire retention pond in West contingent on that. You won't okay with that?
It is, and that pond is to the north of the structure, correct?
Yeah.
We haven't discussed this. Sorry.
Yeah, wherever it's going to end up being.
Yeah, because whatever water is on site, if it's not ponded, it's not police.
Second, okay with that?
Okay.
What was it? I didn't hear it.
Contingent upon us working out with the fire suppression pond,
Okay.
stormwater pond. or use of fire suppression.
Got it.
Just to figure out how we move the water in there. Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0. Thank you.
I got Holly for it.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Item 6, town planner report. Hey, November and December plan appointments.
Mr. Chair, only 2 items here to kind of talk about. One was Quick Trip. Came in on November 27th to talk about the Westford Heights gas station at that point, or that previous approval. Quick Trip came in, presented the town staff with some revised plans of what that should look like. They plan on submitting a site plan of operation for Quick Trip on that corner that you had previously approved for that Westford Heights gas station, car wash, all that stuff. They are not proposing a gas station or a car wash at this time. They are strictly just going to a gas station. They modified the site plan a little bit to comply with some of their needs versus what the previous site plan was, and so we'll do some changes to that one. They're anticipating submitting that in January for your review in February. But which corner? That would be the south west corner that you approved several years ago for that Western Heights gas station.
off of Q.
Off of Q. Yeah. So
Yeah, okay. I remember that one.
yeah.
I remember
Oh,
that.
yes, we did not approve it.
Well, I should say after the formal approval that didn't come from this body, but ultimately came afterwards.
Yes.
What are they wanting to put in there? Because the others have car wash, restaurant, store.
Typical Quick Trip store. Now
Regular
it
gas
is a slightly larger store that they could be, and they're creating a new prototype store, and with a slightly larger kitchen space and more customer space as well. So about 9,000 square feet from my rental. Yeah. Gas pumps are being modified a little bit from an angle standpoint, but outside of that, it's primarily the same layout, but just the branding will be different. Less of car wash. That's where we're set with that one, and the only other one that came in actually, so we've been quiet here the past couple of weeks at winter timeframe holiday season. Jim Borden house in an upland quarter came in today to talk to us about development, how to build it. Pretty much a kind of a more detailed thing that Brian and I would be working on. So, but go for us, town manager. That's it. The last thing that I want to touch on is, for those of you who haven't heard, I am leaving Beer Record. So as a result of that, I brought 2 additional staff members here with me tonight who will kind of be taking on additional responsibility now that Dan Green is also leaving. More duties were going to be leaving and coming to us anyways, but I'm leaving because my wife and I are relocating to Shawano County Economic Development. We'll be focusing our time there as we get closer to family and to start family. So that's the reason why we decided to move. Wasn't an easy decision, but with me tonight we have Rachel, who you heard from. Rachel actually joined us from JSD, who actually had prior knowledge of the Leeds property, actually, because she was actually on the kind of design team forward development group was looking at this site about a year and a half, 2 years ago. So she actually knew the Leeds property pretty well, so we tapped her kind of doing this review as well. So we worked on that one. And Josh has been working on several reviews kind of in the background he's done. So he worked on Casey's general market review, a couple of the Hamilton School District review, sign review, and a couple of other things. Josh has also been working with me on doing the sign code update, as well as doing impact fee analysis that you guys should see in January. So my last day with Beer Becker is in December technically, but I have decided and worked out with them to stay on part-time for another month to actually work with you guys and to transition accordingly. So I'll be working part-time until the end of January to make sure that everything will go smoothly. I'll still be in attendance at the January Plan Commission meeting as a result of that one to make sure I think we may only have one item on the agenda. John Fenn dropped off an application today for Space for You storage buildings in the northeast corner of the town. He will be looking for outdoor storage for people to park RVs and boats and stuff on there. That wasn't approved in his previous plan. So that probably will be on the agenda. It'll be kind of a smaller item, but we'll spend the time primarily in talking about the sign code update, the impact fee study that we have been conducting for the town, and get everything kind of smoothed up. That's my update to you, so I appreciate the opportunity to work with you guys over the past few years. You guys have a great staff, great opportunities. It's been fun to work with Gina, it's been fun to work with Dan. Sorry to see him go for you guys as well, because Dan picked up some really quickly, and it's nice to work with him. So, but I do want to say that you guys have been really awesome Plan Commission to work with, very thoughtful comments as you go through it. So we appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Dan. We're going to miss you. Building your relationships moving forward, but I mean, it's been, I told Dan he was I mean this when I say this, he was probably the single best move we made in the town of Lisbon in 30, 40 years. It's been really good, so
We appreciate that, but I'm not the only one working on it. We do have a team of guys and gals behind us, and so I do appreciate them working hard through this. We're still working out the details of who's going to be kind of the head, who's going to be attending meetings. We may break it down by product or by application type, whether or not it's CSM. And that way we're providing kind of the best service to you guys. One of the things that Gene and I also talked about was on some of these JCC meetings, which kind of go a little quicker to help save you guys some money, because we'll be doing some additional work with you, doing more digitally, more teleconferencing, sharing screens, so it saves the town an opportunity. Let's use the technology that we have. We have the screens, we have the cameras, let's do it. Some time and some effort. So we're going to be working with Gina more specifically on those items and kind of work through a plan that way that you guys are happy with.
all right. Any questions on the plan appointments or anything else? Any items requested from the members for future agendas? Item is adjourned.
So moved.
Moved by Ed. Second by Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?